so much to celebrate, not the least which is my birthday. But we start off with celebrations because celebrations help us to shift into an extended consciousness. And here we work in consciousness. And we say form follows consciousness. So if you're working in the consciousness of celebration, you've got to be sure that your life is going to unfold in a more optimal way than it has been prior to that celebration. So we invite... I look up at that sign and I see those sparklers, and I brought all these sparklers to bring to my sister's celebration. And then I realized you can't take sparklers on the plane. So I have a lot of sparklers. So celebrant, the art of joy, really. And, you know, we hear all the time, this is the day the Lord has made for us to rejoice and be glad in. That this is the day, the hour. It's not unlike any other day. It's not unlike any other hour. It's not like this is the special wedding or the special birthday. This is just the day. It's just the day that we're called to rejoice and be glad in it. But for some reason, we don't think of celebration as mandatory, right? I mean, imagine if celebration was mandatory, if it came included in every action and activity. So like if you went grocery shopping and then you put your groceries away, you'd be required to be like, yeah! You know? Or like you got that, you know, IKEA bookshelf put together and the final thing on the directions was like, celebrate! You know, and don't you want to after you do something like that? It's like you need a celebration. You almost need a release. But we've somehow designated our celebrations to special things. We've acknowledged our celebrations as almost extravagances, you know? So why is that? Why do we hold off our celebrations for these special ideas, these special places and people? I mean, don't get me wrong, we do a really good job of celebrating, but I'm the type of person when it comes to celebration that I like to add a parade to any party. You know what I mean? Like, it's never enough. We can celebrate more. And we can celebrate more. Like, you have full permission to celebrate more, especially in a world that we're rolling in today. It's like crying for more celebrations. So my mom used to say when I was a little kid, in a very derogatory way, I might add, you never miss a party. And I'm like, yeah, why would you, right? Why would you ever miss a party? You know, I was the youngest of 6 girls, and, you know, my sisters would stay up, and I would sneak back down, and she'd find me, and she'd be like, you're supposed to be in bed. You never miss a party. And I'd go, yeah, no, I never do. You know, as a kid, I had 5 older sisters, 2 younger brothers, and in a neighborhood that was totally overpopulated. It was Catholic, Irish Catholic, with children. So we had birthdays every week, we had baptisms, we had block parties, and it was like one thing after the next. There was a constant celebration going on, and we had cake all the time, you know, free cake. You know, and everybody was best friends with everybody else, and you just all celebrated. You know, there was this an intention to celebrate. And then as we got older, you know, we still celebrated. It wore down a little bit, but we called our parties different things like proms and weddings, you know, and we'd go out and we would do, you know, communal dances and communal songs. Remember that? Like the Macarena, like in the YMCA, you know, at the weddings, and the electric slide, and you swore, like, I'm not doing the electric slide, you know, and then the next thing you know, you're out there, like, trying to keep up with everybody. At least that was me. I was, like, in the back, and I was really bad at it, but I wanted to be part of it. Because dancing together and celebrating, it's so good for our soul. It's so good for our spirit. We're designed to celebrate. We are designed to celebrate. We're born to blow out candles and whisper vows and slap your friends on the back and lift the guy above your head and cheer each other on. We're designed for that. You know, you look at Facebook and you scroll through it, and it's just like a parade of celebrations if you're looking through Christ-conscious eyes. There's just beauty to behold, you know. Any given day, you can be immersed in this celebration of, oh my gosh, Ernest took his first step. Did you guys see that? And Simon got his driver's license, and your daughter graduated. Carly graduated. And it doesn't even matter if you know Ernest or Simon or, you know, Carly. You're just like, I'm a yes to that. I'm liking that. And it's so nice to be included in the universal celebration, the nod of approval for each other. Gosh, it's just gorgeous. I mean, a lot of times we're looking at the ways that things aren't working, and yet there are so many ways that we have figured out how to keep this river of celebration going in our virtual neighborhoods. And we're blessed to be able to give a noble nod to each other, like, well done. Like, well done. So the question is, are we stingy with the mustard? Or are we the guy who's got more than enough yeses and go for it and you got this in the bag, you know? Because the more that we give of that, the more it comes back to us. So the funny thing is, even if we don't know those people that we're saying yes to, we give the noble nod. But when we do know those people, you know, we're like, oh my gosh, Holly went on a vacation to Bali. Look at those pictures. I'm so happy for her, you know? I mean, it's so nice. The Cubs, even we celebrate things that we never expected could happen. Like the Cubs when they won. We were like, the Cubs won! And all of us were like, yes! And for a moment, all of our attention was turned towards something that we thought was impossible. And we celebrated. And this weekend, when we saw an African-American divorcee marry the Prince of England, we were like, yes! Glass ceilings have been smashed! If we're not celebrating, we're asleep at all of the beauty that's parading down the block. And sure, you know, the squeaky wheel will pull our attention towards the current shooting, which, you know, but, you know, does love happen in the midst of that, or does fear happen on the backdrop of love? We get to decide where we're holding our focus. You know, and you know, and other things that we celebrate are good grades and Cinco de Mayo and St. Patrick's Day. And I love that we don't have to be Irish or Mexican. You know what I mean? We can just, like, everybody's invited these days. You can just, you know, celebrate it, even if you're not there, to raise, you know, a glass and toast the current events, the trophy, the kissing of the girl. It's so beautiful that we get to witness all these things. So it's crazy to say that life's a rough patch. You know, it's crazy to think that when every day the divine is rolling out a red carpet for us to notice the beauty that's right beneath our noses. And somehow we sometimes keep ourselves out of the game. No, we say, that's not me, so that's not okay. Instead of saying, that's me. That's just like me. I celebrate just like that. That win is my win. That celebration is my celebration. So I'm going to add my vote to that. So, this is important, you know. If we say, like, you know, we've seen our, you know, our world falling apart in some ways in this current, you know, shooting, and it's no way you can't get a little bit distracted by it. But at the same exact moment, there's a million moms picking up the camera and shooting in love. You know, look at my baby, you know. Or even things that, like, you know, are funny to celebrate. Look what I'm eating. My sister made meatballs. You know, it's like, and sometimes we even judge that. Like, why do they got to put their food on? Who cares? That's what they're celebrating. You know? Yay, meatballs. Double yay for meatballs. You know, my dad used to throw a meatball party every single year. Yeah, on New Year's Day. Didn't mean to tell you this story, but yeah, he to keep the party going on New Year's, he would invite everyone we knew, every priest, every rabbi, every ex-boyfriend over to our house, and we'd spend the whole holiday beforehand, the whole Christmas season, rolling meatballs in our house in winter coats because he wouldn't turn the heat on. And that was it. And then we'd have this huge celebration, and the gig was that if you could guess the number of meatballs we made, you got to eat the first one, which is a total lie because we were eating meatballs the whole time. But, you know, the meatball party became known as this celebration that nobody wanted to miss. So, yeah, I celebrate meatballs. So celebrations, we celebrate these milestones, these anniversaries, goals that are met, things that are learned, progresses that are made in the most amazing ways. And it's good to celebrate, and it's actually good to be celebrated. Sometimes it's really scary to be celebrated, you know? So it feels uncomfortable for us to be celebrated. I had a story this past week where this guy told me that it was his birthday, and he tucked out the back door because he didn't want anybody to celebrate him. And I was like, huh. And someone was like, oh, that's so humble of you. And I thought, you just kind of like cock-blocked this whole group of people from celebrating, you know? I did say that, didn't I? If you're going to hear those words anywhere, you should hear them at church. Under the holy umbrella of God, we can use all the words. So we want to notice, like, where are we preventing people from celebrating us? You know, it's very uncomfortable. It's very vulnerable. When Al was talking about my book, I was like, oh, God, like, too much, you know, too much. You know, and when I came here that time when I launched the book, and Ray made this sign for me, and he didn't even charge me for it, and people came and brought food, and it was like, oh my gosh, like, too much. I'm going to owe everyone something. You know, that's the feeling that we get. It's a universal feeling. I'm not worthy to receive this kind of celebration. So we kind of like protect ourselves with, no, I can't handle all of that. So we almost want to breathe in not only our ability to celebrate others, but our ability to be celebrated. They actually come in equal measure. You know, so if you want to be celebrated, it's time to activate some celebration towards everything and everyone. Why? Because scientifically, it kicks up the endorphins, the dopamines, the serotonin to be recognized, to be celebrated. It increases all of these good things in our body. So, you know, we could say that bad weather brings us together, but also celebrations bring us together. And they build community. And they're where we get to share our history and our stories. It's a beautiful thing to actively put celebration into the community, and that's why we start off with celebration every Sunday, and I think it's one of the best things that we do. When you feel celebrated, you feel known. So when we say this is the day the Lord has made for us to rejoice and be glad, like this is the day, no matter what shows up on the doorstep. And we've talked about that a lot this year, about no matter what shows up on the doorstep, are we able to expand our heart and keep our heart open to celebrate that? Knowing that if it's jagged, this too shall pass. You know, all of it will pass. And if the day feels ordinary, then you can be sure that that is a call for celebration. Because there's nothing ordinary about these most magnificent days that lay before us. The best way to fight the mundane and the mediocre and the morose is through celebration. The best way to fight those is through celebration. So, you know, getting to watch the royal family this past week, it was like watching the Cubs again. You know, we all turned our attention, or a lot of us turned our attention towards the celebration of love. And the minister gave this great sermon about the celebration of love. And he did such a beautiful job. And all of us got to hear that message, that love is so important. But the thing that I loved the best about the whole thing was the the party hats that were going on, you know, the spectacles, you know. Those spectacles are like a symbolic thing of saying, like, I don't care about all the, you know, the royal rituals and the nods and the approvals and all this. It's like, I'm having a party on my head. So I'm wearing my tiara as a nod to that whole thing. These things, these tiaras, these, you know, party hats, they're functionless. They're of nothing. They can't protect you from the sun. They don't keep your head warm. The only function they have is they're saying, we're having a party! And the more extravagant, the better. You know, that's the amazing aspect of celebration. It's totally extravagant. It's so beautiful. It's silly, like the Macarena and like the electric slide and like these crazy hats. There's something silly to it. And I think that's why when we get older, we're like, let's just put that's the kids thing. You know, let's all be serious. Let's get some adulting down on here, you know. So you know how I feel about that. That's why I'm wearing my tiara. So I got back from a trip recently from Virginia, where I was celebrating my sister Barbara, who spent 23 years teaching, and my other sister, who was a social worker for 32 years, and around 30 years for my sister Joan. And my sister Barbara was, the night before, just really anxious. She was like, I don't want to be celebrated. You know, it's too much attention on me, and I'm okay with the kids in the classroom, but, you know, I just feel like it's going to be, I'm really scared. And underneath that fear was also, I'm losing my identity that I held for 32 years. You know, there was a whole ball of barbed wire that she was dealing with. And, you know, so I just had to say to her, like, you know, you got to kind of get comfortable in the uncomfortable nature of being celebrated. You know, it's all of us have to deal with that. And it is, you know, it is an ebb and flow, a give and take. Like, people love to celebrate each other. So don't let yourself be robbed, and don't rob your friends from celebrating you. So we have many opportunities, my sisters and I. You know, we still have many opportunities to celebrate each other. We celebrated my sister Barbara. We celebrated my sister Joni. They celebrated, you know, my birthday. We celebrated, you know, the most innocuous things. But I would invite you to try that out for a week. I got to tell you, my sisters, as much as they drive me crazy sometimes, they're the happiest people I know. And every day they say, wake up, they say, best day ever. And then someone else screams out, just got better. Like, they're just celebrating breath. That's all they do. They go throughout the day. Best day ever. Like, oh my God, I found my phone. Best day ever. Just got better. And it never gets old. You know, in fact, for my sister's housewarming party, I found a sign that said best day ever. And then we went around the house figuring all the places we could put best day. We were like, we need more signs. Best day ever. You know, I invite you to try that out. You know, when you go grocery shopping and you put your groceries away, yes! You know? When you find your keys, when you open your door, when you see your friend, when you take your breath, yes! Can you believe it? Do you know why? Because we take these days for granted. You know, we take these things for granted as if they're ordinary. They're not ordinary. We live in an extraordinary place at an extraordinary time in an extraordinary community, wearing extraordinary shoes, drinking extraordinary coffee, you know? Amazing. How did we get so lucky when most of the world does not get to live like this? And not only that, there are people who have health issues that this day might be their last, you know? And so why aren't we celebrating? So I'm asking you, you know, during the conversation to maybe think about, you know, when was the last time you truly celebrated someone or spent the day in celebration? Did it feel like your skin was going to burn off from the pain of having to celebrate? Or did it feel like, yeah, I could get used to this? You know, I could really invest in this. This is what raises our consciousness. This is a spiritual practice, to stay in the awe and the enthusiasm. Jesus said, be like little children. That's what, look at it. Look, she's just celebrating. She's just throwing herself on the floor, drinking her bottle. And she's our teacher, you know, stealing the show from me. Hello, over here. I'm kidding. You can wear my tiara if you want to. I'll put it up here. Oh, my God, she's so cute. So I'm just going to close up now. Thinking about the time when you felt celebrated and how you celebrate others. We're looking at celebration. We're not going to look at celebration as an extra step or as an extravagance or as a luxury, but we're going to look at it as if it's part of the whole program. We're going to make sure we don't move on from any step until we fully and completely celebrate each and everything. If you want to, you can try that on. To infuse our life with more celebration, we truly honor the direction that this day the Lord has made for us to rejoice and be glad, to truly live in that direction. This is the day the Lord has made for us to rejoice and be glad, because again, these days they're not guaranteed. And if we think of them as just like this mundane thing that's lined up like soup cans on the grocery store, that they're just this ordinary thing that we take for granted, then we're not paying attention. And today is the day that we really get to start paying attention. They're precious, they're extraordinary, and they're so celebration worthy, each and every single one. And that's the word.